The driver NASCAR made retire in their prime, Carl Edwards. Carl Edwards is a former NASCAR Cup Series, Nationwide Series, now O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, and Craftsman Truck Series driver, who competed from 2002 through 2016, spending time behind the wheel of some notable teams' race cars, including Roush Fenway Racing and Joe Gibbs Racing. Edwards achieved quite a bit in a 15-year career, winning races in all three of the top touring series in NASCAR, including a couple crown jewel events. Known for his signature celebratory backflip every time he wins a race, throughout Edwards' career, he made 72 of these victory backflips off the side of his race cars. Born August 15, 1979, Carl Michael Edwards grew up near Columbia, Missouri. Graduating from Rockbridge High School in 1997, he attended the University of Missouri, studying engineering, also working as a substitute teacher while pursuing his racing goals. Edwards is related to NASCAR star Ken Schrader, as his cousin, once removed. Schrader mentored Edwards, encouraging him to gain dirt track experience early in his career. Carl's big break came in 2002 when he made his Craftsman Truck Series debut at Memphis in the spring behind the wheel of fellow Missourian Mike Mittler's number 63 Ford, starting 16th and finishing 23rd, making 7 starts in the Craftsman Truck Series altogether in 2002. Edwards' best start was 5th at IRP in the summer, and his best finish was 8th at Kansas in the summer. Overall, in 7 Craftsman Truck Series starts, Edwards scored 1 top 10, 1 top 15, and 3 top 20s, also making his Busch Series debut, behind the wheel of Fred Bickford's number 9 Chevrolet at Gateway in the summer, starting 36th and finishing 38th, following an engine issue on lap 35. Though it was not all that much track time, it was enough to show Jack Roush that Edwards had enough talent to become a NASCAR Cup Series superstar. Therefore, starting in 2003, Carl Edwards became the new full-time driver of Roush Racing's number 99 Ford in the Craftsman Truck Series. Doug Reichert served as his crew chief for the 2003 season, working his way up from the mid-20s up to 10th in point standings by the halfway point in the 2003 season, then from 10th up to 8th by season's end. Edwards' best start was 1st at Martinsville in the fall, and his best finish was 1st 3 times at Kentucky in the summer, then IRP in Nashville in the late summer. The victory at Kentucky in the summer was Edwards' first career Craftsman Truck Series victory. Overall, in 25 starts, he scored 1 pole, 3 wins, 13 top 5s, and 15 top 10s, finishing 8th in final Craftsman Truck Series point standings, and winning the 2003 Craftsman Truck Series Rookie of the Year honors. Returning to that number 99 Super Chips Ford for Roush Racing full-time once again in the Craftsman Truck Series in 2004. Kevin Starlin served as his crew chief in 2004 in the Truck Series, starting the season off with a victory in the season opener at Daytona, therefore starting the season as a point leader, before slowly falling to 4th by season's end. Edwards' best start was 1st twice at Dover in the spring and Darlington in the fall. His best finish was 1st 3 times at Daytona in the spring, Kansas in the summer, then Bristol in the late summer. Overall, in 25 starts, Edwards scored 2 poles, 3 wins, 9 top 5s, and 17 top 10s, finishing 4th in final Craftsman Truck Series point standings. After several successful years with Jeff Burton driving Roush Racing's number 99 Ford in the NASCAR Cup Series, the 2003 season was statistically the worst season that Burton had ever had driving for Roush, with the number 99 team losing the primary sponsor at the conclusion of the 2003 season. Burton and the number 99 team tried to find another full-time sponsor, getting to race 22 in 2004 before parting ways with each other. Roush decided that he would give Carl Edwards a chance to drive that team's number 99 in the Cup Series. So the following week in Michigan, Edwards would make his NASCAR Cup Series debut behind the wheel of Roush Racing's number 99 Ford, starting 23rd and finishing 10th, making 13 starts to finish out the 04 season in the NASCAR Cup Series. Edwards' best start was 4th, and his best finish was 3rd, both coming at Atlanta in the fall. Overall, in 13 starts, Edwards scored 1 top 5 and 5 top 10s, finishing 37th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings, as well as making a one-off start in the Busch Series. In RAB Motorsports, number 03 Mack Tools Ford at Bristol in the late summer, starting 14th and finishing 19th. Carl Edwards became full-time driver in the NASCAR Cup Series and Busch, now O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, driving for Roush Racing in both series. This was the first of 7 straight seasons in which he would run for the championship in both series, continuing as the driver of Roush Racing's number 99 Office Depot Scott's Ford full-time in the Cup Series. Bob Osborne continued to serve as his crew chief in 2005, having a very solid season, spending the entire season between 3rd and 14th in point standings. Edwards' best start was first twice, at California and Homestead in the fall. His best finish was first 4 times, at both Atlanta races, Pocono in the early summer, then Texas in the fall. His victory at Atlanta in the spring of 2005 was Edwards' first career Cup Series victory. Overall, in 36 starts, Edwards scored 2 poles, 4 wins, 13 top 5s, and 18 top 10s, finishing 3rd in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings, with Carl being a part of that history-making 5-car team that Roush Racing had in 2005, when they had 5 out of the 10 spots in the chase. Then down in the Busch Series, now O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, he was behind the wheel of Roush Racing's number 60 Charter Communications Ford full-time. Brad Parrott served as his crew chief while driving that number 60 in 2005, spending all but 1 week inside the top 5 in point standings, even leading series point standings for 10 straight weeks in the first half of the season. Edwards' best start was first 6 times at Las Vegas, Atlanta, Bristol, and Richmond in the spring, Kentucky in the summer, then California in the fall. His best finish was first 5 times in Atlanta and Richmond in the spring, Kentucky in the summer, then California and Phoenix in the fall. The victory at Atlanta in the spring was his first career Busch Series victory. Overall, in 34 starts, Edwards scored 6 poles, 5 wins, 15 top 5s, and 21 top 10s, finishing 3rd in final Busch Series point standings, winning Busch Series Rookie of the Year honors in 2005. In 2006, Edwards returned to that number 99 Office Depot Ford full-time in the NASCAR Cup Series. Osborne began the season as crew chief of that number 99 team, but Wally Rogers replaced him starting at race 8 in Phoenix until race 35 in Phoenix in the fall, when Osborne returned to the number 99 team. After a crash on lap 78 of the Daytona 500 left Edwards to finish 43rd, by the halfway point of the season, he was back up to 14th in points. Then, throughout the second half of the season, he slowly climbed up to 12th in points, missing the chase in 06. Edwards' best start was 3rd twice at Bristol and Talladega in the spring. His best finish was 2nd 3 times at Michigan in the early summer, Loudon in the summer, and Dover in the fall. Overall, in 36 starts, Edwards scored 10 top 5s and 20 top 10s, missing the chase and finishing 12th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. Then in the Busch Series, Carl returned to the number 60 AmeriQuest Mortgage Ford full-time. Pierre Coutel began serving as his crew chief starting in 2006. After a difficult race at Daytona to open the season, by race 3, Edwards was inside the top 10, and by race 6, inside the top 5 in point standings, working his way up to 2nd by season's end. His best start was first 3 times at California in the spring, Chicagoland in the summer, and Charlotte in the fall. His best finish was first 4 times at Charlotte in the spring, Nashville in the early summer, then Loudon and Gateway in the summer. Overall, in 35 starts, Edwards scored 3 poles, 4 wins, 15 top 5s, and 25 top 10s, finishing 2nd in final Busch Series point standings. Returning to the Craftsman Truck Series, making a one-off start at Dover in the early summer, behind the wheel of a number 50 Ford for Roush Fenway Racing, starting 17th and finishing 2nd. The 2007 season saw Carl Edwards reprise his role as driver of the newly renamed Roush Fenway Racing, number 99 Office Depot Ford full-time. After taking a few weeks to work his way back into the top 10 in points, Edwards remained there for the balance of the season. His best start was first at Phoenix in the fall, and his best finish was first 3 times at Michigan in the early summer, Bristol in the late summer, and Dover in the fall. Overall, in 36 starts, Edwards scored 1 pole, 3 wins, 11 top 5s, and 15 top 10s, making the chase and finishing 9th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. As far as the Busch Series, again, Carl Edwards was behind the wheel of Roush Fenway Racing's number 60 Dish Network Scott's Ford full-time, spending the entire season in the top 2 in points, leading series point standings from race 3 through the end of the season. Edwards' best start was 2nd 5 times at Texas in the spring, Loudon and Chicagoland in the summer, then Dover and Homestead in the fall. His best finish was first 4 times at both Nashville races, Bristol in the spring, then Dover in the early summer. Overall, in 35 starts, Edwards scored 4 wins, 15 top 5s, and 21 top 10s, winning the 2007 Busch Series Championship, as well as winning the 2007 Most Popular Drivers Award in the Busch Series. Making 2 Craftsman Truck Series starts as well, behind the wheel of a number 50 Ford for Roush Fenway Racing. Edwards' best start was first, and his best finish was fourth, both coming at California in the spring. For the 2008 season, Rous Fenway Racing brought back Carl Edwards to drive for the team in both the top 2 series in NASCAR once again. Behind the wheel of that number 99 Office Depot Ford full-time in the Cup Series. Starting the 2008 season with a 19th place finish in the Daytona 500. From there, he worked his way up into the top 5 in points by race 13 at Dover, making the chase and spending the entire 10-race chase in the top 2 in points, even leading series point standings for 2 weeks, near the start of the chase. Edwards' best start was first at Bristol in the late summer. His best finish was first 9 times at both Texas races, California, Las Vegas in the spring, Pocono, Michigan, and Bristol in the late summer, then Atlanta and Homestead in the fall. Overall, in 36 starts, Edwards scored 1 pole, 9 wins, 19 top 5s, and 27 top 10s, finishing second in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. Also continuing to drive that number 60 Save-A-Lot Scott's Ford full-time in the Nationwide Series. Cattell began the season as Edwards' crew chief, but Drew Blickensderfer took over that position starting at race 17 in Milwaukee in the summer, spending all but 1 race inside the top 5 in points throughout the 2008 season. Edwards' best start was first 4 times at Dover and Darlington in the spring, Michigan in the late summer, then Texas in the fall. His best finish was first 7 times at Milwaukee in the early summer, Gateway in the summer, Michigan in the late summer, then Richmond, Memphis, Phoenix, and Homestead in the fall. Overall, in 35 starts, Edwards scored 4 poles, 7 wins, 19 top 5s, and 22 top 10s, finishing second in final Nationwide Series point standings. Nationwide Insurance replaced Anheuser-Busch as the primary sponsor of the series in 2008. The following season, in 2009, Edwards remained behind the wheel of his rides driving Roush Fenway Racing in the Cup Series and the Nationwide Series full-time. Aflac became the NASCAR Cup Series number 99 team's primary sponsor starting in 2009, generally spending the season between 4th and 12th in points. Edwards' best start was 5th, 5 times, at both Loudon races, Martinsville in the spring, Daytona in the summer, then Pocono in the late summer. His best finish was second at Pocono in the early summer. Overall, in 36 starts, Edwards scored 7 top 5s and 14 top 10s, making the chase, finishing 11th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. Returning to the Nationwide Series, behind the wheel of Roush Fenway Racing's number 60 Save-A-Lot Scott's Ford full-time. Dan Stillman became Edwards' new crew chief at the start of the 2009 season, until race 33 in Texas, when Mike Kelly took over the position, spending literally the entire season in the top 2 in points, even leading the points for 4 weeks early in the year. Carl's best start was first, 7 times, at both Charlotte races, California, Nashville, and Phoenix in the spring, Chicagoland in the summer, then Homestead in the fall. His best finish was first 5 times, at Milwaukee and IRP in the summer, Montreal in the late summer, then Richmond and Phoenix in the fall. Overall, in 35 starts, Edwards scored 7 poles, 5 wins, 23 top 5s, and 30 top 10s, finishing second in final NASCAR Nationwide Series point standings. With NASCAR entering into a brand new decade, the 2010s, for the 2010 season, Carl Edwards remained a driver for the Roush Fenway Racing team, behind the wheel of that number 99 Aflac Ford full-time in the NASCAR Cup Series. The first half of the season, Edwards stayed between 10th and 20th in points. The second half of the season, after making the chase, he worked his way up into the top 5 in points by the end of the season. Edwards' best start was first 3 times at Watkins Glen in the late summer, then Richmond and Phoenix in the fall. His best finish was first twice at Phoenix and Homestead in the fall. Overall, in 36 starts, Edwards scored 3 poles, 2 wins, 9 top 5s, and 19 top 10s, finishing 4th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. In the Nationwide Series, Carl Edwards reprised his role as driver of Roush Fenway Racing's number 60 Copart Fastenal Ford full-time. This team had 3 different crew chiefs in 2010. Bob Osborne the first 2 races, Drew Blickensderfer the next 24 races, before Mike Beam took over the position for the final 7 starts of the season. Again, spending the entire season inside the top 5 in points, leading the series points for another 4 weeks early in the season. Edwards' best start was first 3 times at Phoenix and Charlotte in the spring, then Elkhart Lake in the early summer. His best finish was first 4 times at Elkhart Lake in the early summer, Gateway in the summer, then Texas and Phoenix in the fall. Overall, in 35 starts, Edwards scored 3 poles, 4 wins, 19 top 5s, and 27 top 10s, finishing second in final NASCAR nationwide point standings. The 2011 season was a very strong one for Carl Edwards, still driving for Roush Fenway Racing's number 99 Affleck Scotts Ford full-time in the NASCAR Cup Series. This season, Carl seemed to have done everything right throughout the season. He was consistent, scored lots of points, and if not for NASCAR implementing the chase, Edwards would have easily won the Cup Series championship. Though an unlikely 5 wins in the final 10 races by Tony Stewart allowed Stewart to tie Carl Edwards in points in the season-ending race at Homestead. The tiebreaker went to Stewart due to the fact he won more races in the chase than Edwards in points at the conclusion of the season. His best start was first 4 times at Phoenix and Bristol in the spring, then Martinsville and Homestead in the fall. His best finish was first at Las Vegas in the spring. He also won that season's All-Star race. Overall, in 36 starts, Edwards scored 4 poles, 1 win, 19 top 5s, and 26 top 10s, finishing second in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. Carl's final full-time season in the Nationwide Series came in 2011, behind the wheel of that number 60 Fastenal Ford for Roush Fenway Racing. Edwards' best start was first 7 times at Las Vegas, California, Texas, Richmond, and Dover in the spring, then Atlanta and Kansas in the fall. His best finish was first 8 times at both Nashville and Dover races, Texas in the spring, Michigan in the early summer, then Atlanta and Charlotte in the fall. Overall, in 33 starts, Edwards scored 7 poles, 8 wins, 23 top 5s, and 27 top 10s, winning the Owners' Championship for Roush Fenway Racing. Coming off of such a strong season, the 2012 season was a bit of a letdown for Carl. Behind the wheel of that number 99 Affleck Fastenal Ford full-time in the NASCAR Cup Series. Osborne began the season as Edwards' crew chief, but starting at race 20 in Indy, Chad Norris took over as his new crew chief, when Bob Osborne stepped away with health problems. Spending the season between 5th and 15th in points, Edwards' best start was first at Daytona in the spring, and his best finish was 5th 3 times at Las Vegas and California in the spring, then Dover in the fall. Overall, in 36 starts, Edwards scored 1 pole, 0 wins, 3 top 5s, and 13 top 10s, missing the chase, finishing 15th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings, making his final career Nationwide Series start behind the wheel of Roush Fenway Racing's number 60 Ford at Watkins Glen in the late summer, starting second, leading 9 laps, en route to his 38th and final Nationwide Series victory. For the 2013 NASCAR Cup Series season, Carl Edwards stayed with Roush Fenway Racing for another couple seasons, still driving the team's number 99 Fastenal Geek Squad Ford full-time. Jimmy Fenning became Edwards' new crew chief starting in 2013, spending the majority of the regular season inside the top 5 in points, easily making the chase, before a not-so-strong chase saw him fall outside the top 10 in final points. Edwards' best start was first twice at Talladega in the spring and Texas in the fall. His best finish was first also twice at Phoenix in the spring and Richmond in the fall. Overall, in 36 starts, Edwards scored 2 poles, 2 wins, 9 top 5s, and 16 top 10s, finishing 13th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. The 2014 NASCAR Cup Series season ended up being the final season Carl Edwards would drive for Roush Fenway Racing, behind the wheel of the team's number 99 Fastenal Ford EcoBoost Ford full-time, spending all but 1 week of the regular season inside the top 10 in points, easily making the chase before bouncing between 1st and 12th in points during the chase. Edwards' best start was third 3 times at Michigan and Bristol in the late summer, then Chicagoland in the fall. His best finish was first twice at Bristol in the spring and Sonoma in the summer. Overall, in 36 starts, Edwards scored 2 wins, 7 top 5s, and 14 top 10s, finishing 9th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. At the conclusion of the 2014 season, Edwards and Roush Fenway Racing parted ways. On August 19, 2014, Carl Edwards announced that he was joining Joe Gibbs Racing starting in 2015, behind the wheel of the team's number 19 Aris Toyota full-time. Darian Grubb served as his crew chief for the 2015 season, spending the regular season between 12th and 23rd in point standings, making the chase and spending the duration of it inside the top 5 in points. Edwards' best start was first at Loudon in the fall, and his best finish was first twice at Charlotte in the spring and Darlington in the fall. Edwards won his first and only 2 crown jewel events of his career in 2015, the Coca-Cola 600 and the Southern 500. Overall, in 36 starts, Edwards scored 1 pole, 2 wins, 7 top 5s, and 15 top 10s, finishing 5th in final NASCAR Cup Series point standings. At the time, no one could have guessed it, but the 2016 NASCAR Cup Series season ended up being Carl Edwards' final season as an active competitor. Behind the wheel of Joe Gibbs Racing's number 19 Aris Stanley Tools Toyota full-time, Dave Rogers served as Edwards' crew chief in 2019, spending the entire season in the top 10 in point standings, easily making the chase, and even qualifying for the Final Four, and it appeared as though Edwards was on his way to winning his first career Cup Series championship, but NASCAR had other plans. Edwards' best start was first, 7 times, at both Bristol and Texas races, Sonoma in the summer, Watkins Glen in the late summer, then Loudon in the fall. His best finish was first 3 times, at Bristol and Richmond in the spring, then Texas in the fall. Overall, in 36 starts, Edwards scored 7 poles, 3 wins, 9 top 5s, and 18 top 10s. In the season finale at Homestead, Edwards was leading the points the majority of the race, when the number 32, driven by Dylan Lupton, sustained a flat tire. He did not hit the wall, but still NASCAR threw a controversial debris caution. On the restart, with 10 laps to go, Joey Logano spun Carl Edwards, costing him the championship. So disappointed that he lost a second NASCAR Cup Series championship due to a technicality by NASCAR, the first time due to new rules, and the second time by NASCAR throwing a caution that wasn't really needed, just to try to make the end of the race more exciting by bunching up the field. Well, Edwards decided that he'd had enough, retiring from NASCAR shortly thereafter, never to make another start. Since retiring, Carl had basically dropped out of the public eye. In 2023, NASCAR named him as one of their 75 greatest drivers. Then in 2025, Edwards did an episode of the Dale Jr. Download, discussing why he left NASCAR and what he's been up to since, as well as being inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame in 2025. Also becoming an analyst for NASCAR on Prime Video. So overall, in 445 NASCAR Cup Series starts, Edwards scored 22 poles, 28 wins, 124 top 5s, and 220 top 10s, with the best points finished second, twice, in 2008 and 2011. In 245 O'Reilly Auto Parts Series starts, Edwards scored 27 poles, 38 wins, 130 top 5s, and 174 top 10s, winning the 2007 O'Reilly Auto Parts Series championship. In 60 Craftsman Truck Series starts, Edwards scored 4 poles, 6 wins, 24 top 5s, and 35 top 10s, with the best points finish of 4th in 2004. Thanks for watching, everybody, and take care.